Hello everyone, welcome to yet another sessions for the daily news analysis by SRIRAM'S IAS, where we take up the important articles featuring in the Hindu newspaper and discuss them from the examination point of view. Let's start our discussion today with the important articles. The important articles which appear in the Hindu newspaper are on our screens, and let's take up the first article for the day. The first article which appears in the newspaper reads enforcing the single-use plastic ban. Now this has been a very significant intervention done by the union government, wherein from July 1st onwards it has imposed a ban on the single-use plastic, right? The kind of plastics which we use in our everyday life, which is to be used only once. That kind of plastic is now banned, and manufacturing, stocking, importing, storing, all of these practices with respect to hoarding these plastic products are now banned, and there is a provision for penalty as well as punishment with respect to any of these activities. So we look at the concept of plastic ban as to why was this done, what are the problems with respect to single-use plastic, what are the exact products that are banned, and are there some issues with respect to enforcing this plastic ban. So we look at this. So first of all, let's start by understanding what exactly is single-use plastic. So in simplest terms, single-use plastics are products that are created mostly from the chemicals derived from fossil fuels. So plastics are basically chemical products derived from chemicals, especially fossil fuels, and are intended to be thrown away immediately after use. So these are those products, as the name suggests, single use, which means that they would be one-time usage plastics. And the most popular applications for single-use plastics are packaging and service items. So the packaging and service items which we usually use, including bottles, wraps, straws and bags, generally fall into the category of single-use plastic. And therefore the abundance of their use also results in a lot of plastic pollution. So what are the problems with respect to single-use plastic? Essentially, a lot of plastic pollution is created, and only 10 to 15% of the world's total plastic is recycled. So any which way, our recycling capacities of plastic is very low and is very inefficient. On top of that, single-use plastic cannot be recycled because it is very thin in its thickness. That is why single-use plastic is not able to be recycled, and therefore it has low utility in terms of recycling it, and high littering potential, meaning that it will be piled up as a lot of waste, and it has high littering potential. So that is the problem of single-use plastic. And when all of this plastic gets accumulated in the environment, what can happen? All of this plastic gets piled up and eventually ends up in the ocean, destroying the marine life. And also, since the thickness is very less and it does not decompose in the environment and it's not biodegradable, what happens is that this single-use plastic keeps degrading into something known as microplastics, which means that the finer components of those plastics are breaking down, and then these finer components seep into the soil, seep into the crops, and eventually inside the human body. So much so that the extent of plastic presence in the human body has been found out, where plastic has been found out in the digestional organs as well as the female placenta, which is responsible for the birth process of the child. So the microplastics have invaded to around everywhere in the human, in this nature's ecosystem and the human's anatomy as well. So that is the prevalence of plastic pollution and the impact of plastic that can be created. And when all of this seeps into the body, these toxic chemicals through which the plastics are made, they can be harmful for the body, ranging from various diseases, right, and also resulting into cancer as well. So these are the harmful effects of plastic, and that is why the menace of plastic and the abundance of plastic needs to be curbed, and the usage of plastic needs to be harmonized for sustainable human existence. So these are the problems, where it sheds microplastics which enters into soil and eventually in the body, and also destroys the marine life. So now, with respect to this, understanding the importance of banning, what products exactly are being banned? So the notification said that national and state level control rooms would be set up to check illegal manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of banned single-use plastic items. So this has been the notification put out by the Union Ministry of Environment and Foreign Climate Change. So that is the MOEFCC ministry. And so this in September 2021, the ministry already prohibited polythene bags smaller than 75 microns. This means that the ministry, since this July 1st plastic ban is not the first step to, towards banning plastic, and a lot of efforts in a phased manner have been taken in the past. So in September 2001, ministry prohibited not to manufacture plastic bags smaller than 75 microns. This is the thickness of those plastic bags. As we just established, the thinner the plastic bag is, the more microplastic it sheds, and it is that much more difficult to recycle. That is why it kept on increasing the threshold for the plastic thickness, wherein in September 21 it kept it as 75 microns and the previous maximum was 50 microns, which means that first the government put out a notification for the plastic bags not to be manufactured below 50 micron thickness, and then it increased to 75 micron thickness. And now in by December 2022, the ministry wants to extend the limit of manufacturing the plastic bags up to 120 microns, which means that below the thickness of 120 microns, plastic products and bags should not be produced. And these are the following items which are banned by the Central Pollution Control Board under the new notification for banning single-use plastic. So what are those? Plastic earbuds, balloon sticks, candy and ice cream sticks, cutlery items including plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, trays. These are all products which all of us have to use it in daily life. That is why this step has a significant impact on our lives. All sweet boxes, invitation cards, cigarette packs, PVC banners measuring under 100 microns and polystyrene for decoration. All of these products, and in total 21 products have been named under the notification which are banned. And the plastic waste management rules of 2016 also completely forbid the use of sachets to store, package or sell gutka and tobacco and other pan products. So this is the ambit of all the products that have been banned under cumulatively under this present notification and in other times as well. So are there any issues with respect to such plastic ban? Can this ban be effectively enforced? This is not the first time where single-use plastic has been banned. A lot of states earlier in their independent role have also attempted to ban the single-use plastic. But when one state's ban and the another state does not ban, it creates a problem of coordination and the use of plastic still remains prevalent. So this is different in the sense of this is a national ban which the union government has imposed. So it is expected to yield better benefits. But what issues still remain with the plastic ban? Let's look at them. So issues with the ban are, first of all, as we saw the products and goods that are being banned in terms of plastic manufacture. But those which are not banned, that is the mineral water and beverage bottles. These are, I think, the most prevalent that we see around us, the Bisleri or other mineral water bottles and the beverage bottles. These are not included in the ban, which means that they will still continue and the usage of these things will still continue. Then other is the plastic packaging waste, right? We use for packaging, a lot of plastic is used in a lot of places. That plastic packaging waste is also not yet covered, which again is a very prevalent good used in the plastic sector and used for a lot of storage and packing facilities. So that is also not covered. So these two products which account for a higher share of plastic pollution are not yet covered in the ban, which is a problematic thing and an issue with the ban. Secondly, a lot of experts are pointing out that by banning the manufacturing and other processing of plastic, you are basically making those companies and those people involved in this sector unemployed. So 88,000 units in the plastic manufacturing business will get hit. That is the experts' data on it. And 1 million people, close to 1 million people who are employed in this industry will also face unemployment, who contribute worth rupees 25,000 crore of exports. Whenever plastic products are made, they are also exported outside. So this sector also amounts for 25,000 crore worth of exports. So this loss is also going to be suffered by everyone, not just these manufacturers, but the revenue accruing to them, to the government as well. So this is the damage that is associated with the ban. Secondly, the FMCG companies, or what we call the fast moving consumer goods companies. Fast moving consumer goods are those goods which we keep using for ourselves in everyday, on an everyday or a regular basis. Those are generally clubbed under the FMCG or fast moving consumer goods. So those companies which rely heavily on plastic packaging and plastic storage will get hit, right? So these are those sectors which will receive a hit due to the plastic ban. And second important factor when we consider banning single-use plastic, which is anyway so prevalent in our life, is that the alternatives that are available for plastics are much more expensive. So those small vendors or other companies who are indulging into their services and using plastic, in order to now shift to any other alternative, that would be much more expensive for them. And since it would be much more expensive, a lot of those vendors would not be able to afford it, and if they afford it, the prices of all these goods and services and products will increase. So that will be the impact of it. And second is that limited capacity to provide biodegradable replacements. If we really want to replace or curb the menace of plastic pollution, what we would be needing is the biodegradable products, those products which can decompose in the soil, right, and they can be broken down. So those biodegradable products are not yet available at a lot capacity, and there's a limited capacity to provide these products. So these are some of the issues associated with the banning single-use plastic in India. Let us look forward as to how this ban goes forward and what challenges the government faces and how it deals with the challenges. With this, let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, Australia to give minerals to Indian EV makers. Now this becomes a very important article from the perspective of GS3, where we study Indian economy as well as the important aspects of growth in the economy. So the electrical vehicle market, as we can evidently see that it is increasingly expanding, and the government is also keen on pushing the market, because electric vehicles are a source to cut down on the carbon dioxide emission. That is why the push for electrical vehicles is also quite high. So in that aspect, those chemicals or those minerals which are required in the manufacturing of electrical vehicles, what are those chemicals and what are those minerals which Australia is supplying to India? This article talks about that, and those minerals are crucial minerals of lithium and cobalt. As we all know, the batteries that we use in our phones or in our electrical appliances or in our vehicles, those are lithium ion batteries. So the central mineral that would be important for manufacturing of these products would be the lithium mineral. So this mineral along with cobalt, which is also used in the process, it would be supplied by Australia. So we'll be looking at the overall distribution of this important metal or mineral such as lithium, and what is its distribution, what is its role in the future with respect to these manufacturing of electrical vehicles and other equipments, and what is India's state with respect to lithium production. So this let's start with the news first of all. So what has happened? The Australia Critical Minerals Facilitation Office, which is the Australian government counterpart, has signed an agreement or a memorandum of understanding with Khanij Bidesh India Limited, or KABIL, which is a joint venture. This is a public sector enterprise or a joint venture set up in 2019 by 3 state-owned companies, right? 3 PSUs came together and set up this joint venture, which were the National Aluminium Company Limited or NALCO, Hindustan Copper Limited or HCL, and the Mineral Exploration Corporation Limited or MECL, in equity participation of 40, 30 and 30 respectively, wherein NALCO will have the 40% share and other 2 companies will have 30% each as share. These 3 companies came together and formed Kabil, which is the joint venture relating to exploration of activities with respect to lithium and other such elements, and exploring and extracting these minerals in the foreign countries, such as whichever country these minerals are abundant. So for example, Australia has the highest production of lithium. That is why this joint venture Kabil is entering into Australia to explore the resources of lithium mineral. So that is why it is coming into agreement with the Australian CMFO for supply of lithium and cobalt, which are required in the manufacturing of electric vehicles. So this is the body from India which is participating in the agreement, and which would be responsible for exploring, extracting and processing the lithium mineral and supplying it to India. So that this body becomes important. And then let's look at few important points about lithium, right? Since now we're looking at the importance of lithium, it is also referred to as white gold, because it is a soft white and lustrous metal, and it's a soft metal that is which gives it a lot of advantages, and several of its alloys and compounds are produced on an industrial scale. So the qualities that lithium possess makes it a very important metal for a lot of industries, not just for electrical vehicles manufacturing, but all other batteries manufacturing. Wherever such appliances are used which run on batteries, lithium will become an important part for them. So there is an increasing demand for lithium metal. And why is it? Because increased applicability. It has applicability in a lot of places, and in order to take advantage of renewable energy, the need for bulk energy storage applications has been increasing, and this includes electrical vehicles and other backup electrical storage systems, right? And the second advantage it possesses, that it has good life. The lithium ion based batteries have a good rate of charging and they last longer. That is why the lithium ion batteries are widely used, and they also have higher energy density. So in addition to this, the energy density of the lithium ion batteries is higher, and its wider usage. All of this benefits results into its wider usage. Being primarily used in batteries, it also finds its use in glass, ceramics, rocket fuel and lasers. So this is the usage of lithium, and it's pan industry usage where it is being used in a lot of places. So that highlights the importance of lithium as a metal, and that is why which countries are possessing the highest reserves of it, which countries top in the production of it, it becomes important for us to see. So the global distribution of lithium tells us that according to US Geological Survey, global lithium production in 2019 stood at 77,000 tons, and the bulk of these production is done by top 4 lithium producing countries, which are Australia, Chile, China and Argentina are the world's top 4 lithium producing countries. And stands at the top is Australia, is by far the world's top producer of lithium with an output of 42,000 tons in 2019. So out of the 77,000 tons, 42,000 tons was produced by Australia itself. Now we can make the connection as to why India and Australia are agreeing together, and why Australia would be supplying the lithium to India, because Australia is the highest producer of lithium and we are importing from Australia. So what is the domestic status of domestic production of lithium in India? As of now, India currently imports all of its lithium needs. So India, apart from this recent agreement with Australia, also imports lithium from Argentina. In 2018, the Kabil joint venture also signed same kind of an agreement with Argentina, right? So this is the status of India's domestic production of lithium. It has been found out that there are certain potential reserves of lithium in India. Reserves would mean that there is lithium situated in India, but we need to make proper systems for exploring and extracting it. So the Department of Atomic Energy and Government of India has discovered 1600 kg lithium in the Mandla district of Karnataka. This kind of reserve deposits have been found, but they are yet to be explored and extracted. So that step still remains, and that is why India still becomes dependent on these major lithium producing countries. Now in the backdrop of this discussion, let's also look at the concept of lithium triangle. The lithium triangle, which often is talked about in the news, is a triangle of 3 countries, which means that these 3 countries are at the top of production of lithium. Can we guess where this lithium triangle can be situated? We can see two countries, that are Argentina and Chile, already in a similar geographical region, which is this, in the continent of South America. So in the continent of South America, there is a triangle known as the Lithium Triangle, which is consisting of three countries known as Chile, Bolivia and Argentina. These three countries, which forms the part of the Lithium Triangle, because they are said to have abundant lithium reserves. And around Argentina, Bolivia and Chile, these three are together known as the Lithium Triangle, is concentrated in various salt pans that exist along the Atacama Desert, which this region becomes a part of, and the neighboring arid areas. The area is thought to hold around 54% of the world's lithium reserves. So it is holding 54% of the world's lithium reserves, but yet Australia is at the top. How is this happening? Because Australia is leading the production of lithium, and the reserves are there in the Lithium Triangle, but the production is yet to ramp up for these countries. So this was the snapshot of lithium distribution in and around the world and in India, and with the news of India agreeing with Australia, because it becomes important to understand everything about this lithium mineral, which is still important and which is increasingly going to be more and more important in future, right? So with this, let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads the need for space sustainability, right? So this article has been featured because the UK has recently hosted the 4th Summit for Space Sustainability in London in collaboration with the Secure World Foundation, and discussed the space sustainability plan, calling it the Axtro Carta, which means that after UN and other bodies discussing a lot on the sustainable development and the sustainability of the planet, now it is also the time to discuss about the sustainability of outer space, wherein the space today has not stayed the same, and the activities in and around the space have been increasingly amplified and diversified, wherein a lot of countries are sending their satellites, a constellation of satellites, their space missions out in the space. So what will this create? It would create traffic in the space around Earth. These satellites revolve around Earth in something known as the orbits. They orbit around the Earth. So they revolve in orbits, and these satellites, since many of the countries are sending them, why are they sending? Because the cost of missions have been reduced as compared to earlier. Therefore, number of missions have increased by many countries, and the complexity of missions have also gone up, which means that the traffic in this airspace with respect to existence of all these satellites has brought out a lot of issues. What are those issues? There can be orbital crowding, which means that the orbits which are placed are using which these satellites revolve around the Earth, they are limited, and a lot of these satellites, once placed in the orbit, they would start eating up the space, and what will that result into? Or that can cause the danger of collisions between two satellites. So that is a danger which is occurring because of the increased amount of satellites and space missions in space. And then second is space debris. What are space debris? When we send a satellite in the outer space, it serves its purpose for a specific period of time. Now after it has served its purpose, what happens to these to these satellites and these space missions? It's a piece of junk in the outer space. This piece of junk is known as the space debris. That remains of the space missions and the satellite, which are no longer of use right now, but they're freely floating in the space, are called space debris. So we can see the potential of human beings, where they're capable of causing wastage on not just planet Earth, but outside the planet as well. So this increasing problem of space debris also needs to be dealt with. And third is, these satellites face a lot of problems from the solar and magnetic storms, wherein the increased hot solar flares which emanate from the sun can also damage the satellites. So in order to deal with these issues and to maintain and devise a plan for sustainability of usage of space, since the space belongs to everyone and it should be used in a manner which can be beneficial for everyone and also sustain. The UK government has discussed the space sustainability plan, where it has come up with its own measures to take care of the space sustainability on its own accord. So what US has done in this manner is not of much importance, but through the issue of space debris and the issues around collision of many satellites, we'll discuss what India's efforts have been done. So to combat this, the concept of long-term sustainability has been given by the leading international forum to discuss questions of international cooperation in space, which is known as the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, or Union COPUS. This is that UN body or United Nations body which is responsible for international cooperation of the peaceful uses of space exploration and dealing with these issues of orbital crowding and space debris. So this body is important for us to know. And now let's look at India's efforts on what India is doing to take care of the issues of orbital crowding or the space debris issue. So first of all, India's debris footprint is quite minuscule, wherein India has able to manage its mission sustainability right from the start, and its space debris are only 114 out of the 25,182 pieces which are said to be there larger than 10 centimeter. So those debris which are larger than 10 centimeter are being categorized as the space debris, which are said to be 25,182 in number, and India holds a very small percentage of those space debris. So first good step for India's achievement is that it has able to keep its debris count much low at this point of time, but it can be able to increase. So ISRO has initiated the project called Project NTRA in order to deal with this menace of space debris. We'll look at Project NTRA. Then it has also signed an agreement with the US during its 2+2 dialogue, where it signed a pact for monitoring space objects. And other effort put out by the ISRO is the in-orbit servicing known as SPADEX. So we look at these efforts by ISRO and Indian government, which become of special importance for us from the examination point of view. So what is first SPADEX, which we saw? What do we mean by in-orbit servicing? So what happens is that to provide in-orbit servicing, ISRO is developing a docking experiment called SPADEX. So what happens is that when the astronauts move into space, there comes a lot of times where their satellite or their space shuttle needs refueling, or they maybe have to change from one space shuttle to another. So in order to facilitate space docking, SPADEX has been created, which would be a facility which would help these astronauts change from one space shuttle to another, and also increase the in-orbit servicing, which means that service the satellites which have gone, which are not functioning properly. It would be able to facilitate the servicing of these satellites. So it looks at a docking satellite on an existing satellite and offering support in refueling and other in-orbit services while enhancing the capacity and capability of a satellite. So this would not only ensure the longevity of a mission, because it would increase the efficiency and make sure that the period of functioning of these satellites are longer, but also would provide a futuristic option to combine missions and experiments. So so this is the important step which the ISRO has taken through the experiment of SPADEX. And other is Project NTRA. What is the NTRA project and its advantages? So the Project NTRA is an early warning system in space to detect debris and other hazards to Indian satellites. As we talked about the dangers of space debris, wherein we need to check its rising number, and apart from that, when the space debris exist, they should not result into collision with the functioning and important satellites. So Project NTRA has been devised to take care of that, and once operational, it will give India its own capability in space situational awareness to deal with these issues, and like other space powers. And with countries launching more and more satellites, each one of them being a strategic or commercial asset, avoiding collisions could become a challenge in the future, and that is why Project NTRA has been instituted. And how would it perform its function? The ISRO plans to put out many observational facilities. These observational facilities will take a look at the debris and the collision possibilities, connected through radars, telescopes, data processing units, and a control center which would be situated in the ISRO office. This would be the way of the functioning of Project NTRA. And what would be benefits? The NTRA can spot, track and catalog objects as small as 10 centimeter up to a range of 3,400 kilometer and equal to a space orbit of around 2,000 kilometer. So this mapping ability of Project NTRA will help tracking the debris and avoid the chances of collision with the important satellites. So this was the discussion with respect to space sustainability and what India's efforts are going on into in order to achieve this objective. With this, let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads windfall tax to add to kitty by rupees 1.3 lakh crore. Now, what is this concept of windfall tax? The taxation becomes important for us from the GS3 point of view, and that is why this new kind of tax which is being talked about in the news, it becomes important for us to discuss this tax. So first of all, what is a windfall tax? We look at it, and what does it mean by saying that it has added to government's revenues? So first of all, the news says that the windfall tax on crude oil, we look at what is a windfall tax, it will add rupees 1.3 lakh crore to government revenues. Now, windfall tax is that kind of a tax when a certain company earns a lot of money, when the company benefits from something that they are not responsible for. The financial gain that ensues is called a windfall profits, which means that any company which earns higher amount of money, not by its own efforts, but due to certain geopolitical or other events that increase its profit, those are known as windfall profits. And when the government charges a tax on these profits earned by such companies, that is known as a windfall tax. They levy a one-time tax over and above the normal rates of tax on such profits, and that is called the windfall tax. So, what is the windfall tax on crude oil that has been levied by India? Since the fluctuating crude oil prices has resulted into windfall profits for these crude oil companies, that is why Indian government has levied the windfall tax on crude oil. So since it has levied an additional tax, it has set to be increase the government revenue by 1.3 lakh crore. Levying certain increased tax will obviously result in increasing government's revenue, and this would be the amount of revenue that the government would be earning through this levy of windfall tax. And the cut, this is an additional information which the article also provides, is that in the last month of May 2022, wherein the Indian government reduced the excise duty on fuel prices, that is how the fuel prices got reduced, that cut resulted into loss of around 1 lakh crore in revenue for government. So through these two data, we can see the amount of earning that can be made from levying taxes as well as reducing taxes from the fuel prices. This is the backdrop of levying taxes on fuel, and as we saw about windfall tax, it is that tax which is accrued to companies who are earning profits not by their own efforts but due to changing circumstances. What does this do for the government? Since energy companies are gaining profit not because of any improvement in their processes but because of the geopolitical situation, many governments are considering to impose such tax. So it's not just India, but US and UK and other many states are thinking of imposing such windfall taxes. What this will do is this will boost the government's finances and help fund efforts to protect vulnerable sections from rampant inflation. This would help government tame the inflation. So that is the concept behind levying windfall tax on increased profits of these companies. So this was our discussion today on the important articles. We'll finish here and meet again tomorrow with more important articles from tomorrow's newspaper. Thank you.